Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here today. My name is Abbey and I'm a yogi and engineer, and I'm here today for another round of Salesforce conversations where I go to the Salesforce community and I browse the first few things in my community feed and try to share my perspective on how I would solve these solutions. Thank you so much for being here. As we covered last time, I'm on my Trailblazer community feed, which I get to through Trailhead, because to me, Trailhead is the best way to interact with the Salesforce community, has everything in one spot. So I'm going to be going through, let's see if there's any questions that I can't answer today. I don't know anything about Journey Builder, I'm so sorry. Email and Journey, Marketing Cloud, let's see. Pardot, another marketing cloud, a lot of marketing action today. Data tiering strategies, oh, that sounds fun. Nonprofit Salesforce consulting team. We've got some ads for jobs here. Find object ID. I'm working with our optimizer. Ooh, I'm not sure. I don't know what optimizer is. I know what optimizer is, but I've never used that. Ooh, an external object. How fun. Release readiness, Trailblazer. Quests. I've never met one of the quests, but I did hear somebody match their own the other day, which is really fun. Quests are a way that Salesforce gets us to engage in the community. When we find there's an entire quest tab within Trailhead, and it's just giving out little scenarios if you complete certain number of modules or particular modules in a set time frame. They set you up for some prizes, which is super fun. I've never matched one of the prizes, but I recently met somebody who did, which is really fun. But this is a nice way if you're looking for some free Salesforce swag. Participating in the Trailhead Quests is a really fun way to learn some new things and see what information Salesforce is really pushing at this time. How fun. We got another question of how do we get started in Salesforce, and definitely Trailhead is the way to go. This person is looking for modules to help them. And I don't know if I have modules to help, but if you are starting out in Salesforce and you've never used Trailhead before, Trailhead is Salesforce's own published learning modules. So what we see happen in Trailhead is they've put together modules of all sorts of information. But even better than that, they've grouped those learning modules into something they call trails. Trails or trail mixes is even a newer variety of variation and way in which we can group those learning modules. So they have learning modules about everything, and all of those learning modules have tags on them. So whether they're admin specific, developer specific, maybe product specific, like marketing, we see a lot of marketing questions today. Trail mixes and trails are put together to kind of curate your way in which you move through a trailhead. So one place, if you're looking for something to start, is looking at the admin, developer, business user trails that Salesforce has curated for us. Kind of helps you through that process of thinking about Salesforce from start to finish. Also helps you transition into the deeper things like projects, super badges. Those are the advanced kind of pieces within Trailhead that also helps you get real world experiences. So once we work through maybe the admin beginner trail, then we could possibly move on to the hands-on projects where it walks you through step by step how to build something in a developer sandbox. And then even further still, you have super badges, which are requirements that you then have to build a solution to, and it checks it just like it would any other Trailhead module. So definitely give those a check out if you've never done that before, or check out my previous last week's session here on Twitch where I talk about dev orgs and building something for yourself. That's definitely my preferred way of getting hands-on Salesforce experience when you didn't find your first position in Salesforce just yet. But let's see if there isn't something else here on the Trailblazer community that I couldn't shed some light on this week. Ooh, I don't know. Marketing Cloud, I'm not so sure what to do. Job postings. Great place to look on job postings. Ooh, Trailhead Go release. I heard about this week. So maybe that's what I should talk about. I'm looking at a particular post that says something about new Trailhead Go release coming soon. Join the beta today. So if you didn't participate this week was Release Readiness Live. Release Readiness Live is my favorite way to keep up on the Salesforce releases that happen three times a year. So 3 times a year, Salesforce comes out with this big release. And if we go to trust.salesforce.com and we look at our Salesforce instance, which we can find on our company information page within setup, we can see what server ID we are on, and we can look that up in trust.salesforce.com, and it will then tell us the dates in which our orgs will be migrated to the new release. So the one that's coming up here in October is Winter 22. They're coming out with all sorts of juicy flow and experience updates that I'm really excited for, but I really enjoy going to Release Readiness Live. That happens about a month before our production instances are promoted to the new Salesforce release. And one of the things they mentioned during Release Readiness Live this week is new Trailhead Go features. There's also a ton of other features, right? Because the release notes are extensive, to say the least. Thank you, Salesforce, for that. We do love your very thorough release notes on the new functionality, but my favorite way is Release Readiness Live. It was so cool to see some of my favorites like Jen Lee on there giving all of the Flownatics their updates around the new features. Like, oh, I'm so excited for asynchronous flow components, a scheduled path that you can run asynchronously that will really help on the Experience Cloud automation so that I can have the automated automation touch the users. Kept getting pesky mixed DML errors from that. How frustrating. But no worries, they have so many updates coming, and Release Readiness Live is my favorite way. There are hour sessions that are specific to the different functionality groups, and Salesforce brings on all their project managers to give us their update about what they're excited about around the new release to their product. So definitely my favorite to see it from the source of what the new features are. Then I have a lot easier time going to the release trailheads and finishing those modules to keep my certifications up to date. So Release Readiness Live, definitely check that out. All the new things that are coming in Winter 22 here in October. Let's see, is there anything else? Ooh, can I see, maybe list views for a custom object filter not working. The list views set up on a custom object to filter by owner is not limiting records to my records. Any idea what the issue might be? Could you provide a screenshot of the list view and the filter criteria? Sometimes list views get modified and saved from other users. Is there a master detail relationship for this object, and the owner of the master record is someone else? Ooh, good point. I love that. Oh, cool. How fun is that? I had never used that before. Oh, cool to know. Okay, I really like this scenario. I've never dealt with this before. That's a good one. So this Trailblazer asks, list views for a custom object filter not working. The list views set up on a custom object to filter by owner is not limited to records, not limiting records to my records. Any idea of what the issue might be? So this is kind of a fun question around list views. I love list views. If I could live in them all day, I would, but sometimes getting users comfortable with a new way of looking at things like records is sometimes kind of hard. But in this case, right, once we get comfortable with list views, we could just expect them to work, right? They're pretty straightforward, very few places to pivot their criteria on. So I could see why it would be really frustrating to be trying to filter to my records on a custom object and getting a longer list of records than you're expecting. My first thought definitely would be what the second individual suggests here around my opportunities. If we're familiar with our list view settings, there are definitely ways to filter by owner, right? That's the first thing we select. Is it my opportunities, all opportunities? Is it my team's opportunities? Is a few available on a few objects? So that would have definitely been the first place that I would have looked on a list view to see if it was filtered correctly, is I would have looked for changing the filter by owner to my records of some kind. Even custom objects should hold that particular specification. But what I find really interesting is that's not the right answer in this case. What we find by another user, luckily marked as best answer, is that this custom object has a master detail relationship to another object. So what happens in our master detail relationships is that the child record inherits the ownership of the parent record. Or I think some of the comments kind of suggest is the filter by owner. Sometimes customers will want custom lookup fields to attach users or contacts to as like the owner of the record, but isn't exactly the true owner field of the record, which is what all of our list views or this filter by owner is looking at. So that would be a place that I would want to clarify if somebody were to bring me this question. Of course, would have been first, is your filter by owner set to my? And if that wasn't the right answer, then I would have went down to, well, maybe are you looking at a different field as the owner? I would have had them verify which field is the owner. Give me an example record where we show that this is the field I'm looking at. That way you confirm that it is the actual owner field in which the customer is looking to pivot this list view off of. If it was a custom lookup field, we'd have to create a checkbox or formula or some other filter criteria in order to have the list view show appropriately. But I find out in this case, how fun is it that it is a master detail relationship where the child object inherits the owner from the parent object. So that's why the mismatch is happening in this case, because she's looking to filter off owner of the child records, and the owner of the child records may not be the same as the parent record. So the list view is looking at the owner of the parent records for my records, and the child records have their own owner. So thing to watch out when we're dealing with master detail relationships. They have a lot of quirks to them, a lot of limitations, right? We love master detail relationships for our roll-up summary fields and our ability to delete child records when a parent record is deleted, but definitely can be complex when we want them to kind of look and feel their own while still keeping that relationship to the parent object. So a lot of times we do end up using lookup fields, lookup relationships instead of master detail to have them have this more distinct individual functionality that's not so tied to the parent record. So a good place to think about the difference when we're configuring Salesforce. What makes the most sense for our use case here? But fun to know that list views can be affected by master detail relationships. I'm so glad that this individual had so much help figuring out what criteria was met. I agree. Send a screenshot is always fun, but right, you don't want to compromise any data. But definitely helpful to provide screenshots and links if you can, especially if this is an internal admin, right? We're in a public space here, so I understand why you wouldn't want to maybe screenshot everything, but I totally think screenshots and links are super helpful when troubleshooting problems like this. Wonderful, they even suggest, if it is a custom current user equals record creator, which is fun. If you would consider the creator of the user the owner instead of the actual owner field. Wonderful. How cool. Master detail relationships affect list views. How fun. Oh, I'm not much help with work orders. I'm so sorry. Work orders are fun. Ooh, more Pardot. Marketing Cloud. They must have the Marketing Cloud release readiness today. Oh yeah, so many marketing questions. How cool. Landing pages. Answers news. How cool. There's so many Salesforce groups out there. How's it going? Gotta love those doggies. They always want to say hi. I think I'll take this question as my last one. I can say all sorts of things about experiences. I myself made big error earlier. And this is one of my ways I'm trying to get over it. I cried about it, but my error is made and I can't go back now. So here's to trying to move forward and not beat yourself up about making a mistake, because we're all humans and we couldn't possibly know absolutely everything about Salesforce. The bottom is endless. So don't feel bad if you make a mistake. It happens to all of us. You just apologize where you can and do everything in your power to make the situation right. So that's where I am, but we must move on and not feel bad about the mistakes we've made. We must continue on, because I do know a lot about Salesforce. It's just, it'd be impossible to know everything. So here I am in my experiences. I've been building a lot of experiences lately. And we get a lot of these questions around, are they available on the mobile, right? Through experiences, I find them different because I'm a Salesforce admin. I've spent thousands of hours on Trailhead. I'm a 3 times ranger. got 5 certifications in the platform, and I still possibly couldn't know everything there is about Salesforce. But recently, right, I've been working a lot in experiences, and I find them different because it's not Salesforce that I'm building. I'm building a website with experiences. And it's wonderful to have this portal that our customers can log into, our clients, our partners. It's just becoming a very standard practice, right? We order everything online and we log into a portal, right? They always want us to create an account. This is exactly what we're doing for our clients using experiences within Salesforce. So I struggle a bit when creating experiences for clients because I'm not just building Salesforce where I'm displaying records and making automation. I'm building a website, and I find that website development is different. They have their own methodologies, they have their own industry standards, they have their own ways of doing things and thinking about platforms and a lot of other considerations out there. So I must warn you, when you get into Experience Cloud in Salesforce, it is very difficult because we're building a website. It's a lot more about the UI, the user interface, what the user sees. It's much more marketing focused because we want images and interactions and promotions and information, right? Content available to our users through our experiences. And I think this is great, right? If you're around here long enough, hopefully people will start to see my Experience Cloud that I've built. Mine is publicly available. I do not have a login portal to it yet, but I do extend the option for you to ask me a question through my Experience Cloud site. And what that does is it allows anybody to submit me a request that then creates me a case on the back end that I can then go work and communicate to a user through. So it's wonderful to have this direct connection into our Salesforce org, but it doesn't work the same way as all of our other builders do. So in this particular case, the Trailblazer is referencing the Experience Cloud pages on the mobile version. It's not acting like the Lightning App Builder. So I love the Lightning App Builder. I know some people are still in Classic, but hopefully you're finding your way over to Lightning, or maybe you just ever know Lightning. But I've really enjoyed it since I've personally transitioned into Lightning. I love the flexibility of the builder, dynamic forms, dynamic actions. I don't have to rely on record types anymore to give my users a unique page layout, customized experience for their type of request, their type of record, their type of object. I don't have to just leverage record types anymore. I can pivot much more dynamically based off criteria or other values within my record, right? These dynamic forms and actions, and man, and then Winter 22, they're allowing them to interact with each other, to like build on top more like a flow. Like, how amazing is that? So dynamic, so rich. We can apply more than one object on the same page, all with this beautiful Lightning experience builder. It's wonderful. We don't have that when we work with Experience Cloud. I've really enjoyed the flexi page layouts that they've given us the ability to leverage. But right now, before Winter 22 release, there are so few components within the Experience Builder that I find it hard to even deliver the easiest, most basic site from my perspective without going to the community installing Lightning Web Components from somewhere else. So I'm not a developer, and I'm not here to create Lightning Web Components specifically to use in experiences. I want my experiences to be leveraged and managed by my business users, right? They need to be swapping out their promotional images, not me. They don't need to request me to do it for them every time. So I need these experiences to have functions in them that any of my users can use. But right now, I'm leveraging rich content, practically copy and pasting in my text and my images with links, just like you would a Word doc. And I find it really lacking. It's a wonderful product, and I really look forward to where Salesforce goes with Experience Cloud and its builder. I think one day they will give us something really similar or even better than what we see in Lightning and High Velocity Sales and Marketing Cloud. I think we will get one of those builders right now, and eventually. And they're already doing some really great things. In Winter 22, they are giving us some of those components that I normally go and install from the App Exchange or GitHub, right? An image banner, a video banner, a button. Like those weren't available in Experience Cloud still to this day. But luckily here in October with the Winter 22 release, we will get access to those functions, which I'm just so excited about. But there's just so many layers to this. It doesn't act like Salesforce and its normal builder functionality. It's a website, just like WordPress. That's what I understand as the going industry standard for content management platform is WordPress. One of these website builders that we know we can code into. So it's wonderful. We can start building that on top of our Salesforce instance to leverage our rich data about our customers to have everything in one place. But until we have a more beautiful integrated builder, I'm just afraid that a lot of people who are trying to leverage Experience Cloud are not getting the solutions they want out of it because we still have to code a new template if they want to change the navigation from across the top to vertical. Like we need some more dynamic functions that we have available in some of these other beautiful builders that are available within Salesforce. But right now, Experience Cloud just doesn't have that super user-friendly interface. We still do have to rely on code and custom components to give you that modern website feel that you would expect from one of those other website builders like WordPress or any of the other ones that are out there. So I must warn you that Experience Cloud is beautiful, but it is still missing a few pieces. Like in this case, we're talking about the mobile version. And with Lightning apps, with the Lightning app builder, we can create custom desktop and mobile versions. It's smart enough to be able to know if it's being accessed from one place or the other. Experience Clouds do not have that functionality yet. I can hide some things on the mobile device. Otherwise, I have to have both work on the desktop and a mobile. It doesn't have the ability to dynamically do it. It does to a certain extent, but it's still missing some of that specificity that I might want because images just aren't sized the same that way. So needing to make them maybe not as ideal for one platform or the other, that way they work on both is definitely a trade-off that we have to make that we don't necessarily want to make at this time. Plus, right, as this particular Trailblazer conversation is mentioning, is that in order to have a pure mobile app with your Experience Cloud, you need the mobile publisher, which is an additional cost with Salesforce to get a branded mobile app. Right now, they can just log into the web, with their username and login from Google Chrome on their phone. But to have an app published within the app stores, you need mobile publisher, which is an add-on license. So there's just all these little details that come out of the box with our actual Salesforce instance that don't come out of the box with Experience Cloud. So I have faith with Salesforce. They are going to deliver to us something beautiful one day. I just know it. But if you are looking to do Experience Cloud right now in Salesforce, I would just caution you to know that it may not have every feature that you're looking for today. So best of luck to these Trailblazers. I hope they have found a way to interact with their Experience Cloud on mobile devices. Ooh, that's a toughie. I don't know. Let's see. Let's read this in full. Can I answer this one? Contact ID for role as polling household members. I'm working with an opportunities with contact roles report and have filtered the report on the contact ID from role of a few people. However, when I group the report results by the contact ID for role, even though it is pulling the contact ID for person A in the household, it is also under contact ID for person A and is pulling in person B as well, which has me stumped. I checked the make sure person A and person B don't both have the same contact. Not account ID. Has anyone encountered this or have any ideas what I'm doing wrong? Thank you. Oh, I wonder. So this is a reporting question around contact IDs and opportunities. I'm thinking it's because of your report type. That's what my gut says. So I'm working with an opportunities with contact roles report. Okay, opportunities with contact roles, right? That's our two objects we've got here. Filtered the report on contact ID. However, when I group reports results by the contact ID role, well, one, overall, I think we don't have enough information to answer this question fully, which is not shocking. I don't think I get many questions where I don't have follow-up clarification. But in this case, from what I understand, right, we're trying to interpret the interaction of opportunities and contact roles. My first kind of thought here with opportunities and contact roles is that we must be careful if this is a custom report type, because opportunities have opportunity contact roles. So it is a separate junction object that holds a relationship between an opportunity and a contact. But the standard object that leverages is called opportunity contact roles. So if this is our custom report type, we may just not be pulling in the correct junction object from that. So that would be the first thing I would check here is my report type built correctly? Am I looking at the two objects I want to look at? It's always the place I start when I work with building reports, is I instruct my users to go to the Gemba, go to your data, look at it, see what the name of those objects are, look at what fields you'd like to pull into your report, see the name of all the fields you'd like to pull into your report and pivot off of. Then you can leverage your report builder with that information. Otherwise, it's much more difficult to just go to your report builder and not know what's on your page layout. So I definitely go to my data first, write down the pieces of data I want to pivot off of, then go to my report builder to start building. So here we could be as simple as pulling in the wrong contact role into this opportunity report. So opportunities with opportunity roles is where I would look first. Secondly, I'm a bit confused by a reference to household. So there is householding functionality within Salesforce, but that is related on our account level and wouldn't have much effect from my understanding here in opportunities. So it may just be, the situation may just be a definition of the difference of what information you're pulling. So I'm not quite sure what the household is, but may need to clarify what that means to you. But the last thing that I wanted to kind of mention here is opportunities with, if this is correct, and this is a report with opportunities with opportunity contact roles, then one of the reasons you could be filtering your reports in a way in which it's still going to show you both contact roles. So what I'm trying to get to here is, since this report is opportunities with contact roles, it wants to give you one opportunity with all of its roles underneath of it. It wants to pull opportunities that have contact roles and all of those contact roles. But in this case, if you are looking to group, right, if the value you're looking to measure is based off the contact and not the opportunity first, that could be a reason this isn't working. So if your contact is your primary account, it's your primary roll-up field, we'd want to create a report of contacts with opportunities. So that could be the difference here, right? If I'm not quite sure. When I group the report results by the contact ID from role, even though it's pulling the contact ID from person A, it is pulling in person B as well. So I'm thinking that perhaps the hierarchy of this report type is not correct. So if we're trying to group by the contacts, it kind of leads me to believe that we are trying to maybe roll up what is the sum of the opportunities under this particular contact. And this report type, opportunities with contact roles, will not support that. It is opportunities first and contact roles second. So when building our reports, just like I was mentioning, go to the Gemba, go to your data to see what you want to build. Doing that exercise will also help you determine what type of report you're needing to build. So in this case, right, we've started with opportunities with contact roles. But if that primary data point, right, is I want to know how many opportunities this contact has ever had with my organization, we should really start with contact because that is our primary, and then roll up the opportunities underneath of them. So I think there could be several factors that's affecting your ability to do this, and it may just be the context of the use case you're trying to measure based off your report type. So those are definitely options. I just think there's probably a mismatch going on there, but yeah, go to the Gemba, put your primary object first, and then roll up as our secondary object underneath of that. I don't know if that's a standard report, but one thing that you might want to look at is a managed package that I've recently discovered from my beautiful colleagues is declarative lookup rollup summaries. So luckily we've already talked about master detail relationships today. And right, part of master detail relationships, one of the reasons we use them is so that we can roll up information from the child objects onto the master or parent object. So that's a way that we can count or sum how many or the amount of child records underneath of them. So all the opportunities won on an account, we can add the quantity for an all-time account value. But, right, that's only supported within master detail relationships. But in this case, these are standard objects. Who knows what the relationships they have? Maybe there's custom object in the works. We don't want them to be master detail relationship for another reason. Declarative lookup rollup summary package allows us to roll up based off any lookup within our org. So fun fact, if you're bouncing your head off the wall with all of these reports, but you're really looking to just have a field with a value of how much, how many, count of records, and average, we could use the declarative lookup rollup summary package found from one of our beautiful Salesforce Trailblazers. And that is definitely a way that I've been able to leverage getting these KPIs without having to build such complicated reports. Using that tool that builds the code that you need for you. Declarative lookup rollup summaries is definitely a way that could supplement this kind of reporting if it being some difficult times, because then we can roll up a value between any lookup relationship and the real time, which is even better. They'll do them real time, which is super cool. So I think that's the last question I'm going to answer today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad you've taken the time to listen to me share my perspective on Salesforce. greatly appreciate your time, and I hope I will see you around soon. Have a great day.